So I looked at a post recently on Facebook, which was about digital nomadism, and it said digital nomadism is nothing new, but is becoming more and more popular. A lot of people are lured by their romantic vision of working remotely while traversing exotic locations, and I am one of them. So that got me thinking, like, what are the downsides of being a digital nomad, right? So first one is work, not vacation. So work continues, fitness and workouts continue. You still got hobbies to do, which for me is guitar. And you've got to strike the right balance between getting things done and actually enjoy. The next one is schedule disruptions. So moving to new places hosts a range of logistical challenges. Flying even 1 or 2 hours takes up 8 to 10 hours of time. So packing your belongings, catching a taxi or train, waiting, flying, baggage, immigration, drive back, settling in, finding a place to eat and buy water. That also disrupts your sleep schedule and pattern. Then when you arrive, you have a great desire to explore and experience. So usually when I arrive, like someplace new, it takes me about 3 days to settle in and end up like dropping some things, like some habits, for example, my music practice, or have to put in extra hours with work when I usually take a day's rest. Relationships. So dating is tricky. I've met some amazing women, but not before leaving. So we're still in communication, but it's a question of whether it makes sense to make plans and to see each other or just leave it hanging. So in my first destination, I met a girl a week before I left, back in Da Nang, and we moved things way too fast before I left. So I came back a month later, but it turned out the compatibility wasn't there. So it was sad, and I hurt her and I hurt myself. So this taught me a lesson in slowing down. I also met a really epic girl in Ho Chi Minh in Saigon, but yeah, I mean, I sort of like it's the distance. It does make things difficult, and time zones are challenging, especially if you work with US time zones in Southeast Asia. So I was wrapping up at 4 a.m. for a handful of months, and sometimes I wouldn't be able to sleep until sunrise or 6. Now, I've always been a bit of a night owl, but I mean, doing any work past 2 is pushing it. You do adapt, it's kind of okay, but it's not perfect. So if you want to have social plans, you need to do it earlier in the day. This can be a bit difficult. So yeah, this depends on your location and availability. Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi is the backbone of what you do, and you need to be reliable and consistent. So 95% of my travels, I've had very good internet. I've gone to well-rated Airbnbs and I've had good data plans. Unfortunately, I got caught up in a recent place back in Thailand where I booked a place which had no ratings, but the owner was a super host. So like they had 100 other ratings basically. So it turned out the Wi-Fi was super patchy, and the data wasn't actually working in that room. So I tried a lot of things, and I just ended up working out of the car park at the entrance of the building, and then I had to work in 7-Eleven, which is like a convenience store. So yeah, I was like sitting in 7-Eleven, and I'm having the door beeps every 5 seconds for hours straight, or I'm taking calls from I had an interview from Starbucks. It was hectic. Obviously, I could have changed the place, but I was real brokey back then, so I couldn't afford to change the place. FOMO of location duration. So I'm about to leave Krakow in a couple days. I kind of wanted to stay longer, but it's always this opportunity cost of what am I missing out on if I commit extra time here rather than there. Most locations, since you're busy working, at least a month would be ideal. But if you book a month and you don't like it, it's a bit of a down buzz, right? So I think booking a week in a place with the intention of staying 1 to 3 months might be the ideal hybrid solution. Environment and surroundings, so dietary changes, the relative busyness or quietness of the place can be stressful or have an impact, especially like if you're not really sure where you're going. So, for example, the traffic in Bangkok and Saigon, that really bugged me. That was stressful. Ergonomics, I've got all right ergonomics right now, but some hotels have like really uncomfortable chair or desk arrangements. I mean, half the time now I'm like laying in bed taking sales calls and closing deals, but I've had to improvise standing desks by putting my suitcase on the desk and then standing. And I've worked out of weird places. Well, let's just put it that way. So I could go on. I think I've said quite a bit. Is it worth it? It's definitely worth trying. Next destination is I'm going back to Serbia, and then it's maybe Spain, a few weeks in Greece, and then South America, most likely. All right, peace.